Kelly got a frame with their pictures from kindergarten till graduation. And there's one on there when Sarah Beth was about in the 5th grade. She said, I hate that picture. I look like a giraffe.
A giraffe.
A giraffe because she had her hair pulled back pretty and she's got kind of a long. She said she had a long. I said, you do not look like a giraffe. Hush that.
Well, giraffes are pretty.
But
so.
she just didn't like that picture at all.
Well, the one of me in 8th, was that was 7th grade? 6th grade or 7th grade that I chopped my hair off.
Yeah. And that one picture, I think you had a little choker necklace on.
Well, it was in style.
Yeah.
I was cool, or trying to.
Bless her.
What grade were you in when you all came back from Ecuador? The first time?
6th. Oh, the first time.
Yeah.
It was 2nd grade.
2nd grade, yeah.
But in 96, I think they came
And
back
I was
to
here for 2nd, 3rd, and 4th.
Right.
And then I went back for 5th and most of 6th. And that's the year that I was in school pretty much the whole year.
Yeah.
Because the way they were, I had like 1 month off, or like not even a month. I was almost done with 6th grade. But when we came over here, it was halfway through the year, so then I had to finish 6th grade. And that was when I was at Homestead Middle. And then I chopped my hair off. Yeah, I was Homestead Middle, I chopped my hair off. And then went to Mays Middle. Terrible.
Mays Middle was going to the zoo, wasn't it?
It was a zoo. Horrible. What elementary school did you go to, Grandpa?
Redland.
You went to Redland Elementary? I thought you went to.
That was out there across from Nelsberry.
Yeah.
You know, across from Nelsberry Farm. Yeah. But then it was Redland Elementary and Redland High School. So the building on the east side with the big arch door, that was the high school.
What about the middle school? Or were there just 2 schools?
No, it was just elementary and high school.
Yeah.
It wasn't, they didn't have middle school.
That's how it is in Ecuador, primary and secondary. There's no middle school.
I think.
That's all you need.
If I was in Puerto Rico, so it was there.
Yeah, you don't have.
When I started school, it was 1st grade through 12th. We just had one school.
Well, yeah.
Well, and those were smaller towns, though, right?
Yeah.
So there were less students, so it wouldn't make sense.
It was in Sugar Hill.
Sugar Hill, Georgia?
I went into the 5th grade in Bruton, Georgia. And there, that was an elementary school. And then the high school, the high school had to be in, no, it was Bruton School. It was right. It was elementary through high school.
Through 12th? That's what I thought.
Yeah, because so you were there from the 1st grade through the 12th grade, and that was a good feeling because even though you were a younger grade student, you were mixing with, the older students to a degree. And I think that was good. But now it's so regimented and compartmentalized that you don't get that interaction between your age groups.
So what middle school did you go to?
I didn't go to middle school. I went to elementary school and the junior high school.
What high school did you go to?
Junior high school was Homestead.
You went to Homestead
Junior
High?
And then high school
Was South Dade around?
South Dade was my high school.
South Dade was.
I graduated South Dade too.
Yeah, she graduated from
And when I was 40.
adult high school. And she had the high school, the night school principal. He would have all of the graduating GED students to have a photograph made with the
cap. Yeah, I meant I was gonna have it.
So she got one made. She had it sitting on the piano there at the house. One of her friends was over and they looked at it and said, "Rachel, you haven't changed one bit
Since you graduated."
Yeah, that's right. She hadn't.
Because it had been because I didn't leave it sitting out, but just about a month.
Grandpa, were you born?
Can I tell anything else at the moment?
No, thank you.
Thank you. Grandpa, were you born in Georgia or were you born in Homestead?
No, I was born in Dublin, Georgia.
You were born in Georgia. So how old were you when you went to Homestead?
About 4 years old.
And why'd you go to Homestead?
My dad's work. That was during the very ending of the Second World War. And I was going on 4 years old. And he was co-farming with his father in Georgia, in a place called Manning, Georgia. There were sharecroppers. But he had the notion to go into farming, by himself and grow tomatoes down in South Florida, which is where his brothers were. And so we moved back down there for that. He had a sponsor. It was still like sharecropping, but he was a farmer and he grew tomatoes for about 3 years in a row, winter crops, and did very well. As a matter of fact, he bought a 1948 model 10.5 Chevrolet truck for his farm. He bought a farm-all tractor for his farm with all the implements to it. But then in 1949, his last crop was completely flooded out because of a storm. And the storm came through and it just laid so much water down on the ground that it flooded out all the crops. I mean, not just his, but all the crops were flooded. So that devastated him so bad economically. And you might say spiritually, because he just took the wind out of his sails. So he went from there into construction work, became a carpenter.
Is that where you learned how to become a carpenter? Did you learn a lot of your stuff from him, or did you go to school?
I decided to become a carpenter because the day before your grandma and I were married, we were scheduled. Our ceremony was set for June the 16th, 1962, to be married. Well, I was working a night shift at a plant in East Point, Georgia, and that night, the 15th, Friday the 15th, not the 13th, Friday the 15th, the guy comes around with 2 paychecks, and he said, after tonight, we won't be needing you anymore. So I lost my $1.85 an hour job, which was a good paying job at that time. And so the Monday morning after our wedding ceremony, I went and got a job as $1.25 an hour carpenter's helper. So that kind of catapulted me towards the carpenter work, because construction was doing pretty good at that time. A little bit of building going on.
And a month after we got married, we moved to South Florida. We moved to Homestead.
And you still had family in South Florida?
Oh yeah, my mom and dad. We moved down.
No, now.
No, I mean, no, at the time, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, my mom. My family.
So whole family's there.
Yeah, my family. Except for my older brother, who was in Atlanta.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Which his brother married my first cousin. So she's my sister-in-law and my first cousin. And their son is my nephew and my second cousin. And this June will be 50. Very good.
Yeah.
And June 16th will be 52 years.
Yeah.
June of 2014.
My older brother married her first
52
cousin
years.
in 1958, August of 1958.
And he asked me, he told me, he said, Rachel, I've got a little brother that just went in the Navy. Would you like to write to him? I said, sure. And we wrote to each other for 8 months before we met.
Okay.
And when I met him, he was there 3 days. And when he left, I told my mother I was 16. I told my mother I was going to marry him one day. She said, you are? I said, yes, ma'am.
High ambitions.
And he left and went to the Navy, and he was gone for what?
2 years. Yeah.
2 years.
At least 2 years.
But then we went a year without writing to each other.
Yeah.
I dated other
She got
people.
mad at me, or I got mad at her. I forget which it was.
You quit writing to me. He's over there in France.
Well, she started dating other,
Well, yeah.
Well, anyway, we went our separate ways.
But he done met me then.
Yeah,
So he had to come back.
The bug had bit me. And I tell her all the time, I never forget that morning. It was in November of 1958. I guess it was in the afternoon. And she was coming to see me. My brother picked me up at the train station and took me to his apartment where he and his wife and baby were living. and then he went to get her. So she comes, he's driving, he had a 56 red and ivory Chevrolet car, real pretty car. And that was in 58, so it was, about 3 years old. So she gets out of the car. She had on a kind of a pale yellow Angora-like sweater with a scarf and a plaid shirt and skirt and red hair, that was kind of long. That was it, man. That's all it took. And that was the first time we'd laid eyes on each other. And I was just on my way to Brooklyn, New York to go overseas, and I was gone for 2 years. But in 1961, after I'd gotten out of the Navy, I got a call from her cousin, my sister-in-law, and she said, well, Rachel's kind of serious about this guy that she's dating. Really?
Oh, really? We'll see about that.
Not if I have anything to do with it.
So he showed up at my work. He did.
Yeah.
And I was going with a young man that worked at the same place I did. And I had his senior room. And I was sitting at the breakfast counter. There was a department store, and they had a lunch counter.
With a mirror behind it.
With a mirror behind it. And I looked in that mirror and I thought, well, he looks familiar. And here I didn't know he was anywhere else. So he come in. So Parks, the boy I was going with, took me home from work that night. And I said, you remember the man I told you I was going with? That was in the Navy. He said, he's not back, is he? I said, yeah, he's back. Oh, bless his heart.
And then that was that?
That was that.
That was that.
From what I hear, he never married. I'm sorry, but I love this one.
You guys are adorable.
True love.
That's adorable, isn't it?
True love.
It's adorable.
I need to write that story down.
I got it on camera now.
She's just got it.
She got it on camera now?
Got it on camera.
I told him the story because I've heard it before. And I got a whole bunch of details wrong.
You didn't do it justice
I did not do it justice.
at all.
She's got it straight now.
Yeah.
Francisco.
All right, now seal it with a kiss and I'll put batteries on. Adorable.
Yeah.
Adorable.
And now look what we got.
And now look. And along came.
One day we'll be half as cute as they are.